Most language learners are stuck, not because they're lazy, but because they're training the wrong skill. If you want to speak a language fluently, and you want to do it relatively soon, you need to stop obsessing over grammar. And you need to start building the one thing that actually matters. Let me show you what it is and how to master it. The fastest way to become fluent in any language is to build a strong foundation of usable vocabulary. Not random words, not passive exposure, usable vocabulary. Words you can hear, understand, and use in conversations. Active vocabulary. That's your foundation. Without it, nothing else works. You can immerse yourself 10 hours a day. You can binge podcasts. You can watch Netflix with subtitles all day. You can move to the country. You can get a girlfriend who speaks the language. But if your vocabulary is weak, you'll stay stuck. So in this video, I'll show you how to build a real vocabulary base fast. Thousands of words. Internalized, accessible, ready for use. Here's the first mistake to avoid. Trusting advice that keeps you stuck. And there's a lot of bad advice out there, especially on YouTube. Oh, you just need more input. Just immerse yourself in the language. Just read more. Listen more. Watch more videos. You just need 1,000 more hours of comprehensible input. You're wasting your time. And it's not that doing all those things is wrong. It's just not enough, and it's very slow. Yes, do those things. If you enjoy doing those things, go do them, and it's going to be helpful. The more you do it, the better. But if you haven't built a solid base before doing that, you're wasting your time. Because in the beginning, you don't absorb a language. You construct it intentionally. Start with frequency lists. The most common 1,000 words, 2,000 words, the most common 3,000 words, all the way to 10,000 words. These are the words you'll hear every day. So learn them first. Organize them into word families, so you learn them in groups of related words that are similar to each other, so they are easier to learn. And then your brain's pattern recognition ability will do the rest. It's much faster and much more intuitive that way. Then use mnemonics. Don't brute force memorize. Don't rote memorize. Your brain doesn't work that way. Instead, create visual associations. Weird, funny, violent, sexual, vivid images that link the sound of the word or the spelling of the word to the meaning. And the stranger the image, the more your brain loves it, and the easier it is to remember. This is how memory champions do it. This is how they memorize thousands of words a day. And it works really well for languages. Next, you need context. You don't just learn a word, you learn how the word actually works. Where you use it, how you use it in a sentence. You read and listen example sentences of all those words you're memorizing. And that way you also learn the grammar, the syntax, and the tone of the language all in one shot. And this will save you studying grammar and also months of confusion as well. Just memorize the words and then review them with example sentences. This is where you should use spaced repetition. Memorize the words, review the example sentences, and then review them again tomorrow. And then a week later, once more, and again and again. And the more times you review them, the better, because your brain will flag it as important because you keep seeing it. And yeah, repetition might be boring, but that's how you reach fluency. And finally, we use the top student's secret weapon, active recall. You try to recall the word before looking at it. You test yourself. You translate from your language into the target language and check. And if you make a mistake, you try again later. And by trying to translate it to the language, making mistakes, and then getting feedback over and over again, you will very quickly learn where you're making the mistakes. And also your brain will learn the right words and the right sentences much faster, because your brain learns by trying to fill the gaps, trying to connect the dots, instead of just being fed information. This is one of the reasons why learning only with comprehensible input is so inefficient. You're simply consuming content passively, you're being fed content, you're not really solving problems. And speaking a language fluently means thinking of the sentences you want to be able to say, solving a problem fast enough to be able to have a conversation. So the way to get good at this is to inactive recall as much as possible. You translate from your language into the target language and you get feedback. And that way you train your brain to think in the language faster and faster, and also you get constant feedback, so you eliminate mistakes. So yes, learn actively like this. Here's what your daily routine could look like. You take a vocabulary list, several thousand words, you break them into word families, and you memorize 30 of those words using mnemonic associations. You memorize one word out of each family. Not 30 words out of the same family, one word out of each family. And the rest of the words, you simply read them, read the meaning, and read the example sentence. And then you review the previous vocab from the previous days and their example sentences. So basically 30 word families a day that you're learning with mnemonic associations and word families and example sentences. It doesn't mean that you remember all of the words, because we're talking about hundreds of words a day. But if you do this and then you review them, you'll very quickly learn thousands of words this way. Also, make sure that you're getting enough listening practice every day, even if you don't understand anything in the beginning. Because if you are memorizing the words and then reviewing the word families and lots of example sentences every day, and you're reviewing the previous ones, listening will get way easier because you recognize 50%, 60, 70, 80% of the words there. Once you figure out vocabulary a little bit, you'll understand a lot of what you're listening to, especially because the more example sentences you read, the more you'll understand how grammar works. So that will make listening even easier. If you want to give this system a try, you can try my 7-day challenge. You learn 150 essential sentences for conversation in a week. The link is in the description.